standards. We have all the same controls, basic controls, regulator, vacuum brake. We've had to fit air brakes here because modern coaching stock is air brake. And this is actually from a diesel class. Or 37 is it, maybe? Aye, something like that. So we've had to fit extra gauges. These are for your air braking here. That's your vacuum brake gauge there. Speedometer, they didn't have them originally. Because let's face it, my lad did 126, that only goes up to 100. The actual crew that did the record-breaking run had no idea what they'd done until they got to London. And there was a dynamometer car in the train which measured the speed. And that's how they knew. And it was only once they got into King's Cross that the crew were able to get the information from them to say that they'd broken the record. This is your steam chest pressure. It only works when you're underway, and it's how much steam is going into the steam chest. The next gauge over here is your boiler pressure. It's a bit down, a bit low at the moment. We've just put some more water in the boiler and coal in the fire, so that brings the pressure down, and that'll come up. And that's the most important gauge of the lot, the wee one at the right hand side. What that does is that when we're out on a trip, the first carriage behind the engine is our support coach. And that tells the crew how high they've got the steam heating in the support coach for us to keep us warm. The regulator there was duplicated on this side. There's the bracket for it still there, but we took it off for one simple reason. If a fireman is firing away on the main line and the track is taking a curve to the right, the fireman's going to be the first person on the footplate to see the next signal, to see whether it's green or whatever. So he's got to stop firing, have a quick look out, and if the regulator's fully open, he's going to crack his nut on it. So John Cameron, the owner, just decided to take that off, and it's stuck up on his wall in his lounge. With the air braking, we've also got an air compressor which is between the frames in front of the firebox. It's a noisy bugger, but you actually hear it going when you're sitting in the station. This is the mechanical lubricator for it. At one time what we had to do is go underneath and squeeze up between the big end and the compressor, but you couldn't get high enough up to get to the oiling point. So what you had to do is put your hand up and take the cap off, unscrew the cap from the oiling point, bring your hand down, put the cap in your pocket, pick up the oil can and go up like that and pour it. You couldn't see, you couldn't move your head far enough back to look, and you only knew when it was full, when the oil started dripping down your face. But we fitted this mechanical lubricator.
I wouldn't give up the job then,
what other things have we got? AWS, which is your automatic warning system. That tells you sometimes before you see the signal whether it's red for danger or green for go or at caution. What there is there's a magnet on a frame in front of the engine, suspended underneath, right in front of the bogie. And that magnet passes over a magnet in the track about 400 yards before the signal. And it depends on the polarity of the magnet between on the track. Now, I can never remember this to school days, but if it's the same polarity, I think it means the signal's green and that turns black and that bell rings. If they're opposite polarities, that'll go to yellow and black like that, and that horn, the horn at the back rings. If the driver does not hit that to cancel it within 2 seconds, or at 2.4 seconds I think, what happens is, in fact it's that terminal that he uses, if he doesn't do that in time, the train brakes will come on automatically and bring the train to a stop. He cannot change that. So he's got to cancel it to acknowledge it and then start applying the brakes, or it will happen for him anyway. God, it's a bit smoky in here.
I was going to say, get down here, it's alright.
But we don't have a big fire on at the moment. It looks big, but the fire is all at the back here. It's really just to keep us warm, you know, keep the water warm, so we can top up the boiler. But normally the fire would be 8 feet back to front and 8 feet wide. The whole box would be filled. And when you're going along the line, it's not orange or red, it's white hot. Because what you've got is you've got air coming up through it to burn the coal. So it's a tremendous heat. Way back, many years ago, obviously in the steam days, you'd be able to recognise a driver and a fireman apart just by looking at their faces. Because the driver's on that side, the right hand side of his face is going to be bright red with the heat from the fire, and the left hand side is going to be white because of the cold air rushing past that side, and the fireman would be the other way around. Firing an engine,
You don't have to wear one of them then.
An LNER engine is always driven from the left hand side. The fireman, whether he likes it or not, has got to fire right-handed, left-handed, sorry. Yeah. So he's got to stand here and he's shoveling that way.
But on Great Western, on Great Western it's the other way around.
Aye, because they drive from the other side. The reason for that is that he's got the only communication, because of the noise, is by sight. And if the driver wants to tell him something, they've got to be looking at each other. And if a young fireman, you know, a rookie, was coming on an engine and was starting to fire this way, he'd get a kick up the backside for the driver. It was never, they always had to be, there was always this line of sight so that they could communicate. Because what they would do is they would have things like, on the non-stops that they put water in the tender, they'd scoop under the tender which scoop water from the troughs between the tracks. So the driver, he saw the sighting board which told him the troughs are about to start, so he had to tell the fireman, get the scoop down to get water in the tender. And to do that several times between Edinburgh and London. 10 tonnes of coal would be enough to do the trip. But 4,500 gallons of water was nowhere near enough. To top it up 3, 4, 5 times. Because the troughs were only long enough to maybe get 1,000 gallons each time. And so it's changed days now. We stop at a station, get a fire hose out, connect it up to the hydrant, and away we go. If we actually got stopped, not with this engine, but another engine, the K4 that we've got between Fort William and Malay because of a fire, and we got stopped at Bridge Orkney station and we had to phone the fire brigade and ask them to come out and top us up with water because we were running very low and we wouldn't have had enough to get to our next watering point, and there wasn't a watering point at Bridge of Orkney. So the fire brigade had to bring a tender of water to us and fill us up. Because you cannot run out of water. If you're left in a position like that, the first thing you do is stop and get the long shovels out the corridor there and shovel the fire out. Drop the fire completely. because if the water gets too low, there's actually a fusible plug in the top of the firebox. It's up about here, the top of the firebox. And what it is, it's filled with lead, and if it becomes uncovered, the lead melts, and the steam from the boiler would come through and put the fire out. But you can't put a fire in and steam it again, because that fusible plug is not going to let you fill the boiler up again, because the water's just going to pour into the firebox. So no driver or fireman with their salt would let anything like that happen to them.
I mean, I can see now with big confined space that you can't get rid of the heat coming off the face.
Aye. There's not a lot of room, and what you've got, your tender and engine are coupled under this full plate here, but they're going like this from side to side. The driver's okay, but the fireman's actually standing with 1 foot on the full plate and 1 foot on it here, so he's going up and down like this trying to fire, and it's not a big hole to fire through. He's not allowed to open the door. He's got to fire through that envelope there.
Get right to the front.
To get right to the front. So it's a tough job.
So I don't want to be a fireman.
No, no. You've got to be good at it. It's and you're never standing upright. You're always, your back's bent like that. So you've got
Do you do it? Do you fire?
Not as much as I used to. Not as much as I used to.